Why are we so quick to wave away the potential of intelligence in other beings?
I wonder if it's just ego.
Yeah, there is a humans are the pinnacle of evolution thought that's out there, that we think we're just the best thing since sliced bread, and we're not. We're just another species on this planet.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
I'm Captain James Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Kirk of the Starship Enterprise.
And the ineluctable Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock, my first officer.
Captain Dr. Spock of...
I can't imagine.
Kirk of the Starship Enterprise.
Did I ever tell you about the time I saved Captain Kirk's life?
Kirk of the Starship Enterprise.
What a blessing to be able to live one's life over again. If the life you've led has left you unfulfilled.
One of our planets is missing. And welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And one of our planets is missing.
How do you lose a planet?
Before we get into that, though, our hike with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, this is the Denver Hike for Hope, is happening this coming weekend as you're hearing this, as this episode drops. And there's still time if you want to join our team or make a donation. You can go to humanisttrek.com/hike and be a part of this. Allie, I cheated on you yesterday. I went hiking without you.
That's okay. I'm cheating on you tomorrow. Me and my son. My son and I are going to go hiking tomorrow.
Okay, cool. We went to Lair of the Bear, which is just past like Morrison, Idledale. It's out past Red Rocks.
Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, so we went and had lunch at the Red Rock Grill there in like downtown Morrison. And then we went up to Lair of the Bear. This is one of those places that...
Lair of the Bear.
No. Lair O the Bear.
Oh, my bad. Lair O the Bear.
It's one of these places that's like always fucking busy because it's one of those places it's a good place to take people from out of town because the elevation isn't too much. And there's not a lot of gain. It's a nice flat hike.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of fucking bikes, though, that like
bicycles?
Yeah.
On the trail?
Like mountain bikers, yeah. Yeah, I don't like that much. But anyway, it follows along Bear Creek, which is just absolutely beautiful. Any time of the year we've been, it's just been gorgeous. Where are you guys going?
Well, Michael thought, let's go to Manitou Springs. And we started looking at that. And you have to make a reservation.
To do the incline?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we need to train for that, don't we?
I know. I'm almost glad. I was like, look, I'll do it, but I might die. I just told him.
Yeah.
And so we started looking, and it turns out you have to make a reservation. They're all booked up. You need to do it a week or so in advance, probably more as summer goes on, because it's very popular. So that's out because they're all booked up for tomorrow. So I think we're going to go to Evergreen.
Okay. I love Evergreen.
Out there. But I just love that there's so many places to hike that you always have options. So
I wonder if Evergreen is still muddy. I've been looking at the all trails, because we're all trails people. I've been looking at like people do their reports after they hike, because there's one that I'm dying to go on again.
If it's muddy, it's okay. I've got my boots. It's fine.
We should probably tell outsiders this Manitou incline that we're talking about is an old, like it's on where old tracks used to be that had an incline car that pulled you up the side of this mountain.
Yeah, so these pieces of wood are like these big, thick railroad ties, but they go like fucking straight up into the sky.
It's 2,000 vertical feet in less than a mile. And sections as steep as 68% grade. Holy shit.
That will kill me. I know that will kill me.
Yeah.
And so we need to like train for it.
Yeah. They have stair machines at the gym.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I might have to go to the gym just to get my cardiovascular lung thing working together a little bit better before I try that.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that I think you want to do like first thing of a summer, because you've been like we've been sitting around fucking lazy all winter, and we got to build up to it, you know? Well, anyway, there's still time to join us on this hike coming up. Go to humanisttrek.com/hike and come hang out with us. It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Hey, Allie.
Yes?
One of our planets is missing.
Is it? Oh, my gosh. What do we do?
Oh, my God. Well, it's Star Trek The Animated Series, Season 1, Episode 3. One of our planets is missing.
We're going to say that a lot.
This is so stupid. I know.
Sir, contact with an object. It's moving toward us. No visual contact yet.
Deflectors, full intensity.
Mr. Sulu. Yes, Captain. Anything on your scanners?
It's coming at light speed.
Collision course. Visual contact.
Anything, Melllvar?
All wavelengths dominated by ionization effects, sir.
All engines full stop.
This week's mission takes us to the Pallas 14 system, which is where the most remote inhabited planet in the Federation is. I think we've heard that flex before, haven't we? About a different planet? Like, oh, this is the furthest planet in our galaxy. Oh, maybe it was the furthest planet in our galaxy or something. I don't know. Anyway, this place is called Mantilles, and we're out here investigating a huge cosmic cloud-like nothing we've ever seen before.
As they get closer to the system, this cloud engulfs this planet called Alondra, and I guess the planet just winks out and completely disappears from sensors. But Lieutenant Uhura thinks, well, maybe it's just being blocked by the clouds and their sensors are being blocked. But sure enough, Spock says that he sees debris and it's being broken up into small pieces.
This cloud is 800,000 kilometers across and half that in depth, so it's fucking huge. And Eric says that's twice the diameters of Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune combined. That's some weird knowledge to be able to pull out of your ass like that.
That's huge. Yeah.
So let's talk about Eric's, voiced by Jimmy Doohan, of
Jimmy
course.
Doohan.
He is this four-legged, four-armed. Is it 4 or 3? I don't remember.
His face reminds me of that one character on Star Wars, General. He flew a fighter. He said, he had a famous line that everyone's in Star Wars. Oh, I'm blanking.
It's a trot.
Yeah, that's the one.
That guy. Yeah. Oh God. Now I won't be able to remember his name. Sorry, nerds. Eric's is an Idosian, which is a race that we haven't seen before.
Akbar. Admiral Akbar.
Admiral Akbar. Yeah, that's right.
So he's a Dosian?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first time did he speak in any of the other previous episodes?
I can't remember. I feel like we should have talked about him before now. I know
he was there.
But he didn't speak. Yeah. Yeah. And where the fuck is Chekhov?
He's not even in the is he in the animated series at all?
Oh no, he wasn't. Yeah.
I think wasn't that a
he
question?
was cut for budget. So it might have been. Yeah, so I did read that there were only like 3 actors who were not main cast actors who came back to play a role that they played on the original series. And the rest of the voices, as we have joked many times, are all
Jimmy Doohan, Majel Barrett, and Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah. And so they did that specifically to save money.
Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't have to pay all those actors. Spock's readings indicate a strange combination of matter and energy, which, by the way, that's all any of us are, matter and energy. I digress. So Kirk and Spock make the assumption that this cloud eats planets. So this is like a doomsday machine again? Is that what we're doing?
Yes. And do you know why?
No, why? I don't know why.
I can't remember his name. The guy that wrote this script was a former director on TOS.
Okay.
His name escapes me. And he was approached to write the script for this, and one of his favorite episodes was the Doomsday Machine. So that's why he kind of modeled this episode off of that.
I'll be damned. Oh, Mark Daniels.
Yep, Mark Daniels.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's a Star Trek legend.
Mm-hmm.
That guy. So now the cloud is on course for Mantilles, which is the inhabited planet. And we've seen what it'll do if our heroes don't act. There's a captain's log that passes some time as we jump to Warp 8 to get to Mantilles before the cloud does. But Kirk acknowledges they have no idea what they can even do to stop this cloud once they get there. So it's like, just get us there and we'll figure it out when we get there. Which is the best of all laid Star Trek plans, I guess.
Well, they only have 4 hours and 10 minutes before the cloud engulfs Mantilles. And there's like 80 million people on the planet.
McCoy is on the bridge for some reason, and he's like, Jim, we got to stop this cloud or it'll kill all those people. And Spock's like, thank you, Dr. Obvious. And then Spock does that thing where you worst case scenario the thing that's happening. Spock's like, well, we don't have a lot of data yet, so that means anything's possible. Hell, this thing might even eat stars, too. We just, we don't know. We don't have enough data to determine whether this is a simple being like an amoeba just kind of following its evolutionary directive, or is this something far more sinister?
For some reason, Kirk decides to ask Bones for his psychological expert opinion. Are you fucking kidding me? But anyway, he says, should we tell the people of Mantilles and try to save them before the cloud gets there? And because they only have 4 hours, it might cause planet-wide panic. But on the other hand, they still could save at least some people so that, the entire race or whatever wouldn't be obliterated. And then apparently planets have governors, because the governor of Mantilles is Bob Wesley from Starfleet. He left Starfleet and he's now a governor. Kirk feels like he's a pretty calm under pressure person, so he's not going to be hysterical. Do you remember who Bob Wesley is?
No.
Really?
No. Who's Bob Wesley?
He's Commodore Wesley of the Lexington. He was on that M5 episode when they were doing those. Yeah, he was doing when they were running those war games and they were testing the M5.
Holy
shit. That is who.
I had no idea. Yeah.
He quit his job and became a governor of a planet.
Hey, we just out here colonizing, that's kind of what we do.
Right? Exactly.
Guess who voices Bob Wesley in this episode? It's not the original actor from the original episode.
Of course not.
It's Jimmy Doohan.
Jimmy Doohan.
I feel like my notes are just paragraph of exposition. Jimmy Doohan did this voice. Another paragraph of exposition. Here's a little story. Oh, here's another character that Jimmy voices.
Yeah. It's subtly different enough to where it works.
He's really good at it. Yeah.
In some cases. There are some where I'm like, okay, that's totally Scotty.
Yeah. The one last week or 2 weeks ago where Lieutenant Kyle suddenly got a new voice, suddenly got a new accent.
Scottish. Yeah.
This is Star Trek, so the answer here is obviously the humanist one. We're going to save as many people as we can.
Right.
I do want to say the shot of the Enterprise approaching this cloud thing is 1973 gorgeous. Like, I just loved that shot so much. There's a lot of...
Actually love all of I mean... The way the cartoon is done, I don't even care that it's 1973.
No, it's beautiful.
So
yeah, the look of this show is just great. Meanwhile, Spock's gotten more strange readings. Chemical elements not found on the periodic table. And he believes this to mean that the cloud is from outside our galaxy. Captain Sarah to Dr. Noor, we have a question.
Well, would Dr. Noor answer this,
or
do we need a astrophysicist? Because depending on what your question is, it might be the same as mine.
Go for it.
Because it's a different galaxy, can we expect for elements to be different?
Yeah.
Or do our rules and science hold true?
Right. Isn't there a universal constant that would be true in every galaxy? And if there is an extra universe, there's lots of theories about multiverse and all of that stuff, then that would, in theory, be able to be different than our universe, perhaps. But between galaxies, I don't
know. And then I'm also wondering, okay, well, what if are the rules different, like gravity and all, and speed and light and all that too?
Yeah.
You and I are on the same page. We were thinking the exact same thing.
So they approach the cloud, and it seems to like reach out with these wispy tentacle-looking things, and it sucks the Enterprise inside it.
Even though they try to reverse, it's too late. They've got us. They've got us. They've got them. And Spock says something like, I had to look this up.
There's a ton of technobabble here.
Totally. I was like Googling the shit out of this. Spock says these streamers or these tendrils, that the cloud tendrils, is that what we call them, are a combination of Koino energy, almost an ambiplasma with a unusually powerful attraction force. Koino energy is actually a word.
Okay.
Which just means common energy. The Koino is sometimes used in science as just a counterpart to anti. So like antimatter, Koino.
Okay.
But that ambiplasma word is not a word.
Really? They just made that shit up.
I bought it. It only exists in the Star Trek universe. Wow. It's some hypothetical plasma that is held to consist of matter and antimatter. Ambiplasma.
They do this thing with Spock here that I don't like this, and it comes back 2 or 3 times. It's a bit that they're doing where Spock gives this absurdly like overeducated explanation of what's happening, and then another character repeats basically what Spock just said, but in simpler terms, and Spock's like, isn't that what I just said?
I like it though. Spock's just being Spock though. He can't say stuff in regular terms for normal people. So all that stuff that Spock says, it's this and this, and then Kirk's like, well, shoot it.
So they do, but it just absorbs the energy. And speaking of absorbing energy, now there's some objects approaching the Enterprise now, which looked to me like if the direction was in the animation style of 1970s, draw crumpled up little balls of paper like spit wads. Draw some spit wads. That's what these little things are outside the Enterprise.
Agree. I thought they were just like, oh, it's debris from stuff they've eaten, stuff the cloud's eaten.
But apparently not. Apparently it's highly charged gaseous antimatter. Scotty calls up on the intercom and warns Kirk that the strain on the shields won't hold up, which Kirk acknowledges. And then Kirk's like, speaking of shields, prepare for antimatter charges. And I was a little confused here because I thought, like, if there's antimatter floating outside the ship, and they're going to fire antimatter at it, what's that going to do? Also, didn't we just say that the shields are shit right now?
Yeah. And anytime like Scotty calls the bridge out of the blue is not going to be good news.
No.
They're going to deploy some sort of antimatter charge and they fire, but then that seems to attract more of these things.
It was very confusing. This scene was very strange. Yeah. They fire an antimatter charge, and somehow that does seem to obliterate the objects near them, at least.
Yeah,
and
they doubled the charge, I think, and then that's what did it.
Yeah, right. And Spock is continuing to update his hypothesis with each new data point. But at the moment, he thinks the cloud might be alive after all.
The cloud is alive!
I am Melllvar, seer of the tapes, knower of the episodes. Tremble before my encyclopedic knowledge of Star Trek.
After the break, Spock and McCoy find themselves in unusual agreement with each other. This cloud has a lot of similar components to those found in living organisms. McCoy says that stuff outside will corrode the hull if the shields fail, and then they'll all be broken down into digestible particles like enzymes breaking down food in a stomach.
And he used the term macromorphase enzyme, also not a real word, but in this episode, it's like a type of enzyme in your stomach, like to digest food. Just then, Uhura gets a message from Governor Wesley from Mantilles, and Kirk asks her to just transfer it to his quarters, but then he also asks Sulu to assemble some sort of diagram of the cloud's composition and put it in the library computer.
Governor Wesley handles this call better than most probably would, and when Kirk asks how he'll choose who lives and dies, Wesley says there is no choice. We save the children.
Save the children, save the world.
I'm almost a little surprised that they didn't use the so-called chivalrous women and children first sort of thing, right? We're abandoning the ship as it's hit an iceberg, and women and children get into the evacuation boats first. That's kind of I kind of would have expected them to go there, but to just choose the children, I think, was an interesting way to approach it.
Back on the bridge, they're counting down 3 hours and 20 minutes, and they know millions of people are going to die, but they've got to do everything that they can. So Spock is, of course, theorizing, if it's eating something or if it's consuming something, it's going to need food to sustain itself. And they suspect that food is planets and whatever it comes in contact with. And Spock uses this analogy that he said it and I literally fell out laughing. He said, it's like a huge bull grazing here and there in the pastures of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then those little blobs that are coming at them, McCoy thinks that they function sort of like teeth, where their job is to break up larger chunks of matter for digestion. And you remember that movie, Honey, I Shrunk no, it was not Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's like, I don't know what movie it was, where the people are small and they're in someone's body going through the digestive system in these little ships.
I think they've done that a lot in a lot of different things, but yes, that sounds extremely familiar. What the hell was that?
Yeah, that's the first thing.
I know
I
know like Magic School Bus did it.
Yeah.
But no,
was it Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Did they go into someone's body?
Yeah, maybe they did.
I do remember someone in a school bus doing that.
Fantastic Voyage, Inner Space.
Fantastic Voyage. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it might have been Fantastic Voyage then. In Inner Space, a man is shrunk in a submarine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So they put up a drawing of this cloud on the main viewer, and it looked to me like 2 hemispheres of a human brain or lungs or something. Like it looked very...
Oh, you know what? I didn't even think of that. You're right. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking food. It looks like when you cut a cauliflower in half.
Uh-huh.
That's what, it literally looks like. But a cauliflower does resemble the human brain in a way.
With the Enterprise's location plotted on the cloud drawing, Kirk notes that the opening they came through is closed, but there's another opening on the other side of the cloud, so they're going to attempt to drive the Enterprise out the cloud's anus.
Yep, it's the anus. The cloud has an anus.
So this begs the question, what could a cloud eat that would, like corn? And I won't get too graphic, but that's all I need to say. What could a cloud eat that's in a corn, out of corn? Right? There were some researchers, some crazy fucking researchers, that did a study about something about whether or not the body breaks down the Lego plastic in your body, and they ate a Lego head and then combed through their poop for weeks or whatever to get the Lego head back, and it in a Lego head, out a Lego head. So what would a cloud eat that wouldn't be able to break down?
Some sort of metal? Some sort of mineral, maybe?
See, this is where I got confused earlier when they were talking about shooting an antimatter charge, because antimatter and antimatter don't create the explosion. It's matter and antimatter coming together that create the explosion. So the cloud uses antimatter to break up matter to break it down so that it can consume it. So would, if you fed it like a Lego head shaped thing of antimatter, would the antimatter not, would it just pass through? These are the questions I have.
Is antimatter this cloud's corn?
Right? Yes. All right.
Wow.
Well, for the 3 of you that stuck around through all of that, let's continue. So we're keeping with this body analogy, and Bones thinks that they've entered the equivalent of the small intestine because there's things on the wall that seem to be like villi, which are, we've talked about this before on the show, which is strange, which are the small hair-like structures that line the small intestine to help absorb nutrients. But these aren't just any villi, they're antimatter. And again, that means if the ship were to touch them,
they'll explode. So they have to keep the deflectors up at all times.
Speaking of deflectors, Scotty's on the phone again.
Oh, no.
They can't take much more. So it's 21 minutes on the clock, and Sulu and Arex try to maneuver the Enterprise to the other side of this small intestine area. But suddenly they lose the ability to hold their course and seem to be drifting along in a current.
Current of stomach juice? I don't know. What is happening? I don't know what's happening.
A captain's log indicates some time has passed now, and Kirk is down in engineering working on the power problem with Scotty. Scotty thinks they might be able to break off a piece of villi and use it to power the antimatter engine. Then he could beam aboard some chunks of planet or whatever to power the matter engine. I guess I didn't remember these were two separate things. Are these... I thought you put the dilithium crystals in and there's an engine, not two different engines. And then later they go to the antimatter nacelle. Is one matter and one antimatter? That's not how that works. None of this counts because it's all incorrect.
Scotty has a brilliant idea, and he does break himself off a piece of that Kit Kat bar because they shoot a little bit of the villi off of the tip. Just the tip.
So they circumcise the villi.
And they put it in a force field and brought it into the ship, and then they put that into the antimatter chamber to replace what they've already lost. And that works.
There's a great moment here where we see Kirk and Scotty. So they put that box in the chamber and then they just haul ass back down through the nacelle. And we see them in silhouette, like running top speed across the frame. And it is just the way they animated the run is funny. Like it's just, it's an awkward animation to do, but they're also in silhouette, which is great. And we see that a couple more times. It's a fun effect. Back on the bridge, 42 minutes until the cloud reaches Mantilles. And Spock has determined this being does have a brain. Brain. What is brain?
Spock discerns that it's changed course from Elandra towards Mantilles, and it could have been an involuntary response to sensing food, but he's thinking maybe, okay, it's got some sort of control system. And they look on the little map again. The brain is located like up. It's on the map. He points to where the brain is located. It's an irregularly shaped object at the top of the core, and it's emanating a bunch of electrical activity. So that's got to be the brain.
If you were looking for a deeply intellectual sci-fi solution to this particular problem this week, you will be looking for a long time. Kirk's plan is to get the Enterprise into the brain and light it the fuck up.
Yeah, shoot. Shoot it.
Yeah.
But then Spock is his conscience, and I'm glad because he's like, hey, wait a second. This is a living creature. Starfleet regulations. He's about to quote it. And Kirk's like, I know. But like 80 million people are about to die.
Yeah, Kirk makes the needs of the many argument here this week, and I don't know that that's a satisfying explanation of his decision, but that's the decision. Spock and Uhura are charting the cloud to determine targets for photon torpedoes, and it seems that at least Kirk is struggling a little bit with this moral dilemma. He asks McCoy if he's doing the right thing and says, "Man rose above primitiveness by vowing, I will not kill today."
McCoy's not the conscience he wants to hear right now because, like, McCoy's like, well, you can't let this thing destroy 80 million lives.
Yeah, it's the needs of the many.
But then Spock is like, well...
This is another moment where they did this Spock-splaining bullshit where Spock's like, Spock's got bad news. Even with all their phasers and photon torpedoes, it won't be enough to destroy the brain. So he suggests instead that they turn the whole ship into energy, directed at the brain's cortex. And McCoy's like, that sounds like you're suggesting we blow up the damn ship.
No!
And Spock says, again, I believe I just said that. And McCoy's like, no! So this is the plan. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they signed up for. They know.
I guess.
And so in engineering, he's telling Scott to get the self-destruct mechanism ready. Back on the bridge, Uhura receives a message from Governor Wesley, updating them on how the evacuation's going, and it's going as best as it can. There was some hysteria in the beginning, but everybody's agreed to let the kids go first. But it's only 5,000 children out of 82 million people.
So is that all the children they have, or all the children they're able to save?
I think it's all the children they're able to save. I mean, I'm surely not. It's got to be.
Yeah.
But that's all they're going to be able to save. And
how do you choose
gotta have
which kids? That's another whole ethical question that we don't answer.
But also, you've got to have some adults around, unless they're trained in,
now
functioning starships and stuff.
No. We're going to put all these kids in foster care. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where they are.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, Wesley has one too, an 11-year-old daughter named Katie, and Kirk asks about her and promises that she'll be safe. He doesn't fucking know that.
No.
He just, I guess, given Dad some sort of, I don't know.
Like just whatever you say to people when they're in a time of
try to make
conflict.
Them feel a little better.
Yeah, but it does platitudes. It doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Kirk has a great idea. At this point, he asks Spock if there's any way that they could do maybe a mind melt.
And Spock responds that the Vulcan finger bang requires physical contact. But perhaps there's a way to stretch the magic MacGuffin of Spock's mental abilities into telepathy. Yeah. We've done that before too, I guess. So maybe he can hook his sensors in to convert the cloud's electrical impulses into thoughts or something. And Uhura's like, oh, sick. I'm going to put this on speakerphone.
That's exactly what she does.
Let's do, we all want to hear what you guys talk about. I'll put them on speakerphone.
And at this point, they've got 26 minutes before it hits Antilles.
Captain's log, 7 minutes on the clock, and Spock is ready to attempt communicating. This happens rather quickly.
So it took them 19 minutes, I guess, because it went from...
Yeah. We hear the mental conversation between Spock and the cloud as interpreted through the universal translator, which, of course, is Majel's voice.
Right.
Spock explains that they are living beings, just like the cloud, and there are many of us small living beings on this planet that you're about to eat, and so maybe don't do that.
He says, I am another being, and she's like, where? I am inside you.
What?
Oh my.
Inside? What do you mean?
Hey, cloud, the call is coming from inside the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's making the first call on the cloud.
Oh my God, he is Spock. It was Spock. He's stored in the cloud.
The cloud is able to detect life on the planet, but it seems like maybe if the life is small enough, it just doesn't give a shit, like how we treat ants.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
example. Yeah.
Ooh, good one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're small. They don't. Who cares? Meanwhile, they are like a integral part of the ecosystem, and so Spock's gonna stick his probe in her and share their thoughts fully now.
So they decided in an effort to further connect, he's like, I'm gonna come into your thoughts, and at the same time you're gonna come into mine.
Hang on.
What?
The cloud's thoughts come into Spock's what?
Mine? Into what?
What's another word for mind?
Brain.
Brain. What is
brain? Oh my God. When this happens, everybody on the bridge notices a distinct change in Spock. His hands were outstretched, but then when they traded places in their minds, he just stands up and just kind of walks around and starts looking around.
He's like touching shit. He's like touching Kirk's face, and it's like the Medusan thing. I'm in a body for the first time. Wow, I need to go like touch and feel all the things.
Yep. And then Kirk has an idea to have Uhura put up some images on the screen of Earth and children playing, etc.
This has to be the scene of the question of our Starfleet Academy challenge this week, right? Where the clip from a different filmation thing. Yeah.
Yep. And we were wrong. No surprise there. But anyway. So there's that little clock that they kept showing that was rolling down from 2 to 1. I'm assuming that was minutes, and that was the self-destruct timer. Interesting that they didn't do a digital clock or anything like that. They just did the old roll number clock. So Scotty's awaiting the order, and Kirk is wanting to give Spock as much time, Spock/Cloud, as much time as possible. But then suddenly the Cloud stops, and the Cloud says, I understand, I comprehend. I have no desire to consume other beings. It's just going along eating stuff. I mean, it didn't know. It didn't care.
Yeah. So Spock convinces the Cloud to return the way it came, back to its origin, and he's also determined how they can escape the Cloud too. Kirk asks Spock about this unique experience, and Spock says he sensed the wonders of the universe, completely incredible. The Cloud leaves. They send a text to Governor Wesley to cancel the evacuation, and off we go to the next adventure.
Quick, succinct, straight to the fucking point.
They don't mess around. They really
No,
don't.
I love it. I love it.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'm happy the affair is over.
Me too.
A most annoying, emotional episode.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
When dreams become more important than reality, you give up travel, building, creating.
One jealous god, if all this makes a god.
By sparing your helpless enemy, who surely would have destroyed you, you demonstrated the advanced trait of mercy.
Frankly, I was rather dismayed by your use of the term half-breed. You must admit, it is an unsophisticated expression.
I think that this episode is basically what Star Trek is all about, or what we think it's all about. However, they failed to do any of this in the very first episode where they stranded that Cloud.
Melllvar!
They left it pleading, help me. I'm like, wait, where's the empathy there? But this one, I'm always saying, okay, try to communicate with it.
Kirk's initial thing twice was, let's go shoot at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's supposed to be the Horatio Hornblower, blah, 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 whatever that we were wagon training to the stars with. But what we think of now as the Star Trek values, like what we know Gene was about and maybe couldn't do in his shows as much as he wanted to do. Yeah. Why are we so quick to wave away the potential of intelligence in other beings?
I wonder if it's just ego.
Yeah. There is a humans are the pinnacle of evolution thought that's out there, that we think we're just the best thing since sliced bread, and we're not. We're just another species on this planet, and there are so many that we don't know a lot about. Like we've learned a lot, but there's still a lot we haven't learned.
Yeah, I think I still think as long as we have been on this planet, I think it's still early in our evolution.
Oh yeah.
So it's really hard for humans to think outside of our little bubble. Shows like this helps people think outside of their bubble and say, okay, it's not just you on this planet. It's not even just you in this Milky Way galaxy. It could be, there's so much out there that we don't know, and we just have to we have to drop all of those preconceived notions that we're the shit, because there's somebody else out there bigger and badder than we are.
How do we treat non-humanoid life? Like again, like the ants, right? Think about animal life on Earth. We just assume that we're the top dog, and we're perfectly fine to just squish and spray and do away with everything else. Like it's a superiority complex that we have.
Oh man, 100%.
Yeah.
We kill for sport. or we kill en masse to eat because it tastes good.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're killing the planet, not thinking of the future, future, like we're overfishing the oceans and the waters. It's just insane to me.
Yeah. This episode also reminded me of that episode of Star Trek, the original series, where we shrunk down and went inside a cell and had to destroy the nucleus. Remember that one?
The space amoeba.
Yeah.
I like these. I like thinking about encountering a different sort of life form that is way more powerful, but not evil. Why do we always assume that everything, just because they're bigger than us and they're doing what they do, like the Cloud was doing, like Spock said, it's a bull in a pasture.
Yeah.
Eating grass. If we could figure out a way to compromise, we don't have to hurt each other. If we can figure out how to coexist.
I had a leader when I worked at the water parks at Disney who taught me assume good intent. And I have carried that with me ever since. And it's things like this that make me think about that, right? We just roll up and it's killing planets, shoot it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody pause for just a minute. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe this episode was the way it was because we're on the clock. Right? And we've got to save this planet. We have 4 minutes left. So that is a motivator to the decision making, where if we had more time, maybe the first approach is we have plenty of time before this thing kills again. Let's take our time to study it and try to contact it and all of that. Maybe that was the thing that made it different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get right to business.
Fine, I'm authorized to pay an equitable price.
Federation has invested a great deal of money in our training. They're about due for a small return.
Listen, we pay off percentages. We're entitled to a little service for our money, huh?
Is this the way your citizens do business? Their right of petition?
They pay their percentages and the boss takes care of them.
Is there anything else?
All right, we want to thank our patrons. We want to thank all of our patrons. We especially want to thank our founding admirals. A special thanks to Russell, Allie, Peter, Sarah, and Sherry.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Greetings, savvy profit seekers of the Alpha Quadrant. Your ears have stumbled upon the lucrative opportunity of a lifetime. Humanist Trek. Now, don't just stand there like a packwid waiting for enlightenment. Let's talk business. First, unleash your linguistic prowess and leave us a review. It's like planting the seeds of profit in the fertile soils of the podcasting market. Smart, right? Now, for those truly desiring a spot in the Ferengi Hall of Commerce, consider becoming a patron. It's not charity. It's an investment in the future of comedic prosperity. Early access, exclusive profit-branded merch, and bonus content so valuable, you'll feel like you discovered a cache of hidden gold-pressed latinum. Don't be a rule of acquisition violator. Head to patreon.com/humanisttrek and pledge as low as $3 a month. The return on your investment? Priceless laughter! And the satisfaction of knowing you're supporting the galaxy's next big profit venture. Profit is our mission, and with your help, we'll be laughing all the way to Grand Nagus' bank.
Let me remind you that taking business advice from a female is a violation of Ferengi law. Shame on you!
I hope you're satisfied.
I assume you're loitering around here to learn what efficiency rating I plan to give your cadets.
Trainees, to the briefing room. Is that all you gotta say? What about my performance?
Aren't you dead?
I don't believe this was a fair test of my command abilities. There was no way to win.
There's no correct resolution. It's a test of character.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
I am understandably curious.
May I ask you a question?
Who's been holding up the damn elevator?
All right, Becca is back now with the answer to this week's exciting Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge for one of our planets is missing. Remind us what the question was?
Some of the shots of Earth shown to Spock on a computer screen were stock footage from what Filmation TV show in simultaneous production?
And our answer was...
Allie said Johnny Quest, and
I
you
said Johnny Quest.
agreed with Allie because you had no idea.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah, it's some...
Was it Captain Planet?
No.
Incorrect.
Lassie's Rescue Rangers.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all,
pretty sure I didn't watch it.
I'd never heard of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've heard of Chippendale's Rescue Rangers.
I'm Dale. That one?
No, the Rescue Rangers. Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. Chippendale's when it's danger. No?
Nope.
Oh, they had a Nintendo game too.
Man,
that
you
I
got to
played.
get on Disney Plus. I'm sure it's on there.
I'm good. I mean, I have Disney Plus, but no.
All right. Well, next week on the 90s trivia show, I guess, or whatever we are now, we'll be reviewing Star Trek, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 4, The Lorelei Signal. A race of beautiful women remains immortal by stealing the life force of men. That sounds dirty.
Yeah.
Okay, what's our question for The Lorelei Signal?
This is the first of only 2 times in any Star Trek incarnation where we see what happened.
Oh, well, it's got to be Uhura.
Oh,
Taking command.
Uhura taking command.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will join you in that one. This doesn't work when we've watched ahead. That's the problem.
It does. Yes, it does. Yes, it works fine.
It works better for Allie.
I mean,
Yeah,
because I mean,
But if we
I'm
both,
not looking it up. But
Yeah.
but if we both get points, then it doesn't help Allie much at all.
No, not really.
Anyway, if you'd like to play along, head out to your favorite social media app, share this episode, use the hashtag Starfleet Challenge, and we will pick out our favorite to be the winner. Next time on Humanist Trek, Star Trek, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 4, The Lorelei Signal.
Diff tour. Heh. Smoothma.
Kapla!
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.